Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. I was just brushing up on some cinema classics here. You see, when you are a lover of cinema, you're only allowed to watch what's the very best. Well, what's this right here? Creature from the Black Lagoon? Ha! That's just old popcorn fluff. Nobody ever would find that film to be spectacular or artful. It would never receive Oscar nominations. Now, where's that other movie at? I believe it's titled Wavelength.
Now this is cinema right here. You can literally see the art engrossing your body.
Wait a minute. Blade was actually successful? We only gave him a couple $1 million. Alright, I figured it'd fail. Okay. I guess we can do a sequel. There's no other big movie coming out in 2002, is there? Alright, well, call up Stephen Norrington and see if he wants to... He doesn't want to do it? Alright, well, who do we have do it now? I guess I could make a couple phone... Who do you want? The guy who made the failed Mimic movie? After the success of Blade in 1998, it was pretty predictable that they would make a sequel. Not only would it continue the story and the style of the original film, but it would be an entirely better film. They would bring Guillermo del Toro to direct, and Wesley Snipes would return better than ever. With a wider cast that included the likes of Donnie Yen and Ron Perlman, this is the appropriately titled Blade 2, with the inclusion of Roman numerals. Begin!
Shit. Sorry. One second. In the year 1997, Guillermo del Toro released Mimic, a film that was a commercial failure and didn't include his original vision, losing the chance to make the final edit. Afterwards, his career was in jeopardy, just as Blade became a commercially successful film about vampires. Del Toro, being a fan of both comic books and horror, was asked to direct the film, and David S. Goyer, having already known Del Toro, returned to write the screenplay. This eventually led to Blade 2, another hit for New Line Cinema that proved the worth of comic book films.
Del Toro was a brilliant choice for director. He seems to have that style that resonates in his films, and he brings that touch in the scenery and in the effects. This is what I wanted the first Blade to be.
Even from the opening scene, you can see that this film is going to be a more quick-paced and well-designed film, with the well-suited cartoon violence and gore. However, you may also notice that the aspect ratio has changed from what is traditionally called CinemaScope to the standard 16:9 widescreen. I really hate when film series do that. Sometimes it's for the better, like in Spider-Man 2, but other times it makes it worse, like in the Avengers. The effects are better, the computer graphics have improved immensely, and they're just better utilized. If you watch the making of featurettes, you'll see that numerous animatronics that were created, but they also cited that both forms of special effects would be used when needed.
It really bugs me in sequels when characters will just disappear with no explanation. Do you remember Dr. Karen Jensen? Well, the filmmakers must have forgot about her because she's not back. Instead, we get Chris Christopherson.
Yeah, remember when Whistler was attacked and Blade had to kill him in the last film? Well, somehow he survived. I guess Blade didn't actually shoot him, and I guess Blade cures him of his vampirism. It's never really explained that greatly. Wouldn't it be great if all characters could come back like that? Han Solo gets sliced by a lightsaber? No, he shows up in episode 9. Logan dies after being pushed into a pointy tree stump? No, he's in the New Mutants. Remember when Superman got destroyed by Doomsday? Nope, he's in the Justice League. Oh, wait. Huh. Comic books are stupid.
In any case, I'm glad that Whistler's back. I really like Chris Christopherson, but when characters are dead, they should stay dead. Says me, who had my head sliced off in episode 3 of this show. You know, whatever, never mind.
Then Whistler, the Walking Dead man, runs into Scud, the non-Walking Dead replacement. You may recognize this non-Walking Dead character from a popular thing called Messengers 2, the Scarecrow. And some show on AMC that I've never heard of since I don't have that channel. Anyway, this character, Scud, you know, like the dog in Toy Story, is lame. I guess he's supposed to represent the young people of the time and give viewers someone to relate to, but he sucks.
Whoa, 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 I don't trust you.
Oh, and he's definitely not the bad guy.
These two fighters, who have really awesome costumes, come to fight Blade, but then stop to invite him to a truce so the vampire leader Damaskinos, sounds like damn mosquitoes, can request his help in destroying the Reapers, a new mutated vampire with the thirst to eat on vampire blood, and happen to have this mouth-vagina thing going on. This effect is awesome. It's like John Carpenter's The Thing, with a little bit of the H.R. Geiger alien tongue. Okay, but is Damaskinos supposed to look like Nosferatu? I bet it's supposed to be a tribute, but you'll never guess what the Reaper's veins are a tribute to. That's right, freaking beneath the planet of the apes. Those weird-looking humans who possess weird Force-like powers and they push Charlton Heston to blow everything up? Yeah, that's quite the reference.
Just like the Punisher in 1989 and the upcoming X-Men, our hero needs to team up with the enemy to defeat a common enemy. Originality.
Okay, but it's really cool to see Hellboy, Ip Man, Vince from Fast and Furious, and the guy who did Shere Khan's motion capture all in this film. Now that's a movie I'd see. But this time we have a team known as
the Fantastic Four.
No. Nothing really matters. Oh, for God's sake, no! They become a group called the Blood Pact, and each member is implanted with a device that can blow them up if they act out of line. Okay, you know what? David S. Goyer really does love to copy himself, doesn't he? He needs to go and do something really original, like, how about Will Smith and an orc teaming up together in a buddy cop thriller? I'm sure the internet would love that.
The whole thing with the implants that can blow up the heads is important for, well, we'll get to that once that twist shows up.
I should comment that Wesley Snipes is once again giving an awesome performance as Blade. Del Toro sounds so appreciative of him when talking about the film, and mentioned that all of Blade's beginning and ending poses for each shot has the look of a superhero stance, like it's coming straight out of a comic book, and I have to agree. They once again go to a vampire club because why not? And this scene in particular really shows the difference in color choices between the first and second film. Whereas Jordan Cronenweth went for a more gray looking palette, Gabriel Beristain went for a more versatile range with more reds and blues and yellows popping through. However, this rave is just as lame as the first film.
You gotta be kidding me.
That's exactly what I say when I'm brought to a rave. I really like the interactions between the group. They all either hate Blade or at least don't trust him. These conversations seem like true reactions to a situation like this. Well, as real as you can get, seeing as it's about an ongoing battle between vampires and even worse vampires. You know, the Reaper explosions were influenced by Watchmen's Dr. Manhattan, and the Reaper designs were influenced by I Am Legend. Did you know that Del Toro was going to direct I Am Legend at one point?
Go on Wikipedia, there is literally a page of Del Toro projects that never went anywhere. It's amazing, he's literally touched every property in existence.
So Damaskinos literally lives in the same pool of blood that Ronan lives in. The writing on this gets a little wacky. Apparently the vampire who started the virus, Nomak, is the only one who can survive without feeding on blood, while the vampires he spreads it to can't survive without eating others. Seems a little convenient. The writing here is as silly as the Powerpuff Girls show that he's watching in the movie. This special effect with the dissection is really cool though. They designed it at Tippett Studios, one of the many awesome practical effects incorporated into the film. Apparently 30 cast and crew members went temporarily blind when a UV light was used incorrectly. 30 blind people trying to work on this film? That must have been a sight to see. Or not see.
Are you kidding me? I'm blind!
Then there's this scene that literally looks like James Cameron's Aliens, with the coloring and the lighting.
However, this is where that twist happens. Do you remember in the first film when Deacon Frost needed Blade's blood to become Lamagra? Well, in this film, Damaskinos needs Blade's blood to fix the Reapers.
They've been lying to us from day one.
Okay, but why didn't they do that from the beginning? I guess it's because Damaskinos wanted to at least kill the Reapers who are a lost hope and just start over with new and improved Reapers, so they used Blade's fighting ability to kill them, and once a majority was gone, they took out Blade. But that seems like a lot of trust being put into a person who is given a device that can blow up his teammates' heads.
The writing here is just like every other David S. Goyer project. Some of it's believable, and other times it gets too technical and really stretches the truth. I guess I buy it more here just because it does feel more like a comic book, and comic books can get away with this kind of storyline. Even Guillermo del Toro said they were trying to achieve a comic book feel that could be translated into a movie. They weren't trying to take a comic book and make it a movie for mass appeal, unlike Stephen Norrington's original film.
Del Toro put a lot of time into this movie and just let the script be. He focused on the mise-en-scène, not the plot holes. He wrote a diary of all his work while preparing to direct, and he even went back and watched all of the dailies from the first film in order to get a feel of the continuing story. That's quite an accomplishment. Oh, and by the way, Scud is evil. And Blade blows him up! Okay, you know what? That obvious betrayal was worth it.
Nope. Nope. Nope, nope, nope.
Now.
The rest of the film is actually pretty basic. Whistler escapes and he saves Blade, Nyssa confronts her father about the stupid plan, and Blade goes on the spree of killing everyone. The most surprising part is that Nyssa does actually get attacked by Nomak, and before becoming a Reaper, she kills herself, finally looking into the sun. It's a surprising death given that they could have gone the obvious route and made her Blade's love interest. Dan Mosquitoes dies and breaks like marble, which is a really cool looking effect, but then Blade loses to Nomak, and he spreads the virus to the rest of the world. The end.
You may think I don't have too many jokes for this episode, and truth be told, that's because the movie is just so average. It's got great sets, it has well-produced effects, it has really good action, but the storyline is so average, and the characters are so average, and every time I watch it, I think, yeah, that was better than the first one, but then I almost immediately forget everything that happens in the movie. I think that just comes down to David S. Goyer's writing. I mean, he can make some great stories, he can be really imaginative, but he needs dictation, which in the commentary, Del Toro said he was avoiding doing because he didn't want to distract from any kind of comic book appeal.
And I wouldn't be here. Lower the music, guys. 1 second. It's taken 25 years. Give me a minute.
In 2018, Guillermo del Toro won the Golden Globe for Best Director for a movie about a freaking monster. It seems almost suiting that a director who went from commercial disaster to a critically praised film to a fun superhero film like this one would go on to such great heights. He's had an interesting career of making lower budget horror films and higher budget action films, and finally he gets recognized for his talents. Blade 2 is not his best work, but it still has all the same passion that his other projects have, and it's what made Blade 2 still stand out despite the magnitude of Marvel films that exist today.
Blade 2 still made it on VHS somehow, pretty late in the game, but it got a 2-disc DVD release, which is very similar to most Guillermo del Toro films. It had loads of features, most of which made it onto the Blu-ray release in 2012, which was included on this trilogy pack. It was a 1-disc edition. It included a new commentary from Guillermo del Toro, which goes along with the already 2 commentaries included in the Blu-ray, and it included a bunch of new features.
Yes, this movie has 3 commentaries. There's a new feature on Del Toro showing off his production notebook, and a new feature from David S. Goyer pretty much praising his partner Del Toro on the making of such a great film. There's a main documentary, The Blood Pact, which goes into every single stage of production, deleted scenes, with a commentary as well, art galleries, sequence breakdowns which explain the process of screenplay to screen, and visual effects stuff, comic book origins, a feature on vampires, a teaser, and a trailer, the script supervisor's notebook, storyboards, and even a freaking explanation of the instruments used in the film, which, by the way, the score is really good. Literally, this is actually too much. There is actually way too many special features. This is on the same level of Lord of the Rings. Like, how do they fit all of this onto 1 disc?
I have to say, of the movies I've reviewed so far on this show, this is the first one with a Blu-ray release that I say is a must-own. It is a must-see for any lover of film or future director. You have to have this in your collection.
Oh, and I forgot to mention that music video. That's... what's the word for opposite of timeless?
And that's Blade 2. I'm sorry if this episode kind of sucked, but it's just, I don't really have much to say. The movie is so general. The only thing that's interesting about it is the fact that Guillermo del Toro was involved. I guess it's an alright movie. Go see it if you want. It just underutilizes a lot of things like story and characters. And yeah, Donnie Yen's in this and they completely waste him. Same with Ron Perlman. Who would have guessed that they'd have such big careers later on? Wesley Snipes, on the other hand, man, what would he go on to do? He did a couple more movies, but there was a big one that came out literally like 2 years after this. What was it called? No. No. That's not true. That's impossible! Wait a minute, should I really be judging a film before I see it?
She likes to listen to MP3s when she hunts. It's like her own eternal soundtrack, you know? Darkcore, trip hop, whatever kids are listening to these days. Me, I'm more of a David Hasselhoff fan, you know?
Endings are very important, and I don't know why, but typically they are the most difficult thing to write. They're the most difficult thing to film.